So here we are, folks, with Ben and Robin at the, there's Robin and Ben, at the Watch House in St Mawes, just having a little bit of supper, pre-Christmas supper, and I sprung a podcast on them. So just going to ask them a few questions around all this noise that's going on in the background. So I know you, for example, recently obviously changed your style quite differently from quite a sort of a more of a brush work thing to a sort of palette knife thing. And that was quite a leap, I imagine. But how do you find that? How difficult is that to work, changing style, so that people got used to what you do, and then suddenly.
That for me, in that instance, is something that's happened because it's something that I've wanted to do, and it's felt very natural. So there's always a bit of you, perhaps a bit of me that wonders what other people will think of it. But ultimately, it sort of felt like it made sense to me. So it kind of, you have to kind of go with it and put everything into it and just sort of try it, really.
I mean, you there's going to be risks when you do something like that the audience that you've got might not like it. And I guess as an artist you've got to go there to a certain extent, but there's always risks with that, isn't there?
I have to sort of keep myself interested in what I'm doing anyway, kind of thing. So that's because if it were to get sort of completely stagnant, then it wouldn't be. I wouldn't really be into it anyway. So
right.
So it's just about sort of keeping yourself sort of working and keeping yourself in a good frame of mind, and just allowing it to go on, I suppose.
Yeah. What about you, Rob? I mean, what's your feelings about change? I mean, I'm sure you have it, although I don't see it as much in yours, but you're probably changing all the time, aren't you?
Well, I've stopped working because I used to work on a canvas on quite a rough surface.
Right.
But now I've changed to a board on a very smooth surface.
Oh.
And I've found that I prefer that because it feels like more like I'm working in my pastels.
Right.
Because you can blend in a very similar way.
Right.
Because I still work in a palette knife.
Yeah.
But I can blend the colours a lot easier with a palette knife, and it feels a lot like working with my pastels, and that was my first medium that I used to enjoy.
Right. And when you work with the pastels, did you have a lot of success with the pastels, or is it something that you found you had more success with the oils?
I think I did quite well with my pastels, to be honest, but it was just the framing element that stopped me using pastels because I haven't done so much with yourself. I think you've had one pastel you sold, so I might do more, but it's just the storage. And when you've got them framed, it's actually getting them to the gallery or wherever they've got to show without getting any dust onto the actual mount or around it, or coming to the glass, because I use it very lightly, and you get quite a lot of static on the glass. So, and once it starts to go on the mount around the picture, you sort of ruin them, because nobody's going to want to buy a picture with all dust around the outside. So it's just a logistical reasons, really. I still like using pastels, but I might do some more charcoal, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's another similar thing, but it doesn't come off quite as easily.
Is charcoal more monotone then, is it? The end result?
Yeah, but I'd like to try it. But I like trying different things like that, sort of. Because if you're doing oils all the time, you can get a bit bored, and you're just trying to try different things. And I think it's just when you've tried a different medium for a couple of pictures, you sort of want to get back into using your oils. It's also painting different subjects as well. Yeah. Because I like painting portraits and things like that, and I like using a brush with portraits. Right. And I find that helps as well. Okay. Trying to keep you interested.
You've only ever done oils? I mean, I've never seen anything in any other medium for you.
Yeah, I mean, I do draw. With graphite and charcoal, but it's a very different, it's very, very sort of fine detail, so it's kind of polar opposite to what I'm doing with the painting, which is sort of ultimately simplifying things into blocks of colour and sort of pairing it back and back and back. So yeah, I do draw a bit. But in terms of paint, oils is what it is for me at the moment.
Did you experiment with other things at college, and how did you discover what you were in?
But I painted with oils when I was a kid, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was given a load of just like raw, sort of quite old oil paints, which go kind of really clay when they're old. Anyway, I didn't have anything to thin it with. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I just started using a palette knife then, because you can't, it's so thick you couldn't use a brush kind of thing, and so that's probably where I started using a palette knife, was when I was about 12, just playing around. I didn't really know what I was doing at all, but I like that thickness, and acrylics and things like that for me don't, I just sort of don't really get on with them.
So let me get this right, because I understood that you'd moved from brushes to palette knives, but obviously you'd always use palette knives, just that I'd never seen them before.
Yeah. I mean, just when I was a kid, just sort of playing around. But yeah.
Have you tried mediums like that, Rob? I mean, using other forms of knives and things like that. I mean, you use it to a certain extent, don't you, with the scratching that you get?
Yeah, I use mainly. I'll start off with a brush.
Yeah.
And then I go over the top with a palette knife, because I like a brush to a point to get the main block of colour down. Yeah. But I have to stop then, because it feels a lot softer. The image feels a lot softer, and the colours feel a lot softer, and there's also a temptation to get more detail in with a brush. Whereas if I use a palette knife, it's more about the colour, and the image seems a lot sharper as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was going to ask Ben how he keeps his colours so clean, because with the amount of paint that you put down, all your colours look very clean.
Yeah, I do mix a medium with them now that Lucas make. It's just painting butter or something like that, and it basically, I think what it allows is that when you have sort of overlap and things like that, you don't get so much kind of like mixing and smudging on the edges and stuff like that. So it kind of gives it more body. But the other sort of side of it is that the work dries more quickly. So in actual fact, if you haven't finished the work in 2 days, that's it, because you start to get a sort of skin on it kind of thing. So, but it just it just gives the paint more body, and it's easier for the way that I'm working. It makes it easier to work with a knife.
Do you actually find yourself, I'm going to try and do one like X another artist just for the hell of it, which will never see the light of day?
Yeah, I do sometimes, but you start off with that intention, but then you sort of, somewhere along the line, you take it over again, and then it sort of goes back to how it was. So you can start off with that intention, but that happens a lot with my paintings anyway. I'll start off with one thing in mind, and you just drift off somewhere else.
And it ends up going back. You use the same, don't you?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd say you sort of, here and there, you see things you really like, and perhaps sort of from where, if you're kind of there in the middle, and then perhaps you see something that someone else has done that you really like, and it draws you off initially at a kind of extreme from where you were, but eventually you'll sort of bring it back into the work that you're making, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think this naturally, we're coming with our lunch. Here she is.
Thanks.
Starters have arrived.
Do I need to sign a disclaimer?
Yeah, probably. Thank you for that. Well, this is looking rather gorgeous, so I think we're going to get in there. There's my supper, folks. We're closing down for now, and we're going to get on with our supper. So, bye. See you later.